But let's hear from Brian Schottenheimer, who took to the podium following today's game.
Yeah, I thought they played hard, man. I thought you saw how important the game was to us. I thought, you could feel the hitting, and really pleased with the way we ran the football today. And, this group, I've never doubted that with them, though. It's always been a group that they're going to answer the call, they're going to play hard. And I just told them, I said, hey, look, I'm proud of you guys. I'm disappointed in the way the season turned out. We didn't clearly win enough games, but every week they laid it on the line. And I'm proud of them for that.
Talk about momentum going into next year, but you finished the year with 4-6. How can that be a possible momentum build?
Yeah, we got to look at it, and see what those issues were. Now that the season's over, we'll go back and we'll look at everything with a, fine-tooth comb, if you will, and we'll break it down into all the different areas that you need to in terms of offense, defense, special teams, running game, situational football, third down, red zone, all that stuff. And there'll be things. There's always things, and things that we have to address. We'll prioritize those, and we'll focus on getting better.
Clarence Hill, as Cowboys, can you use this bitterness as a motivation?
Always. I think, anytime you come up short of goals, there's motivation. I think these guys are hungry. We have the right type of guys. There's no question about that. We did some good things this year. We just got to figure out the things that we need to improve and address those issues and coach those things up better, but always, and again, it's a long season, and we'll start the process immediately, though, of trying to figure out the areas that we can improve.
You already talked about first thing Monday morning, that your mindset, we got to get and make a lot of changes and make decisions on changes, coaches, players, and that.
Yeah, it starts immediately. There's no time where you get into it. I'll study the film tonight and look at it on the way back, and we'll have the exit interviews. We'll go through the process. I love that process. I think that process is important, where you talk to the players, you talk to the coaches, you evaluate everything, and I think, like I said, there'll be some very clear things that we need to address.
So much been talked about Eberflus in the defense. Can you just assess how he's done, and what do you want him back at this point?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, as you look at the way the game went today, we put him on a short field, and the time of possession got kind of flipped around. But again, we're going to look at everything, and at the end of the day, we didn't win enough games, and that starts with me. I'm responsible for that, and that's where we'll start.
Brian Todd Archer with ESPN. You mentioned you'll prioritize things in your mind. What are the priorities for this team?
Again, I think there's going to be a number of them. But again, at this time, I'm going to, think about the guys in that locker room. I'm going to go love on them some more and tell them how much I care about them, because I appreciate how much they put into this season. And then, we have time to get into that. And like I said to Clarence, we're going to start that on the plane. And but there's a number of issues that we need to address, and we'll do that.
Yeah, second quarter stretch there where they were backed up. Murray got a penalty, remained on the field. There were other times where defensive guys, linemen, Solomon Thomas came off after penalty. Other guys came off after penalty. Kenneth stayed on the field.
Yeah, the big thing is when it's a combative penalty like that, Todd, you can't see exactly like what happened and what was it real? Like, was it him? Was it something that maybe we didn't see? So the jumping off sides and stuff like that, that's an immediate, hey, come on out. We do it in practice actually, but we didn't have a great shot of it, quite honestly, of what happened over there on their bench.
There's Brian Schottenheimer after a 34-17 loss to the Giants, 7-9-1 in his first year as head coach of the Cowboys. Schotty and the tape from the locker room brought to you by the all-new National Medal of Honor Museum in Arlington. It brings the stories of America's greatest heroes to life through virtual experience and exciting interactive technology. Plan your visit today at mohmuseum.org. Now, maybe not totally fair on Schotty, but here are just some of the other turnarounds and how some of the first-year head coaches fared. You have 5 playoff teams that came off 11 or more lost seasons last season. New England with Mike Vrabel.
Yes.
You've got Liam Cohen in Jacksonville.
Yes.
Ben Johnson in Chicago.
Yes.
You've got, of course, Carolina and San Francisco. Those are not new head coaches. You've got 4 division winners that are coming off 12 or more lost seasons. Those would also include New England, Jacksonville, and Chicago. Carolina being the other. That's Dave Canales, not a first-year head coach. 3 worst of first division champs, New England and Chicago. 2 13-win teams off 13 lost seasons. So just his peers in the same coaching cycle that got hired, you've got Vrabel, Liam Cohen, Ben Johnson that have done a fantastic job in year one and have their teams now going from worst to first in their division and will be now playing for postseason play. Now, hey, defensively, you can say they were not nearly as bad as what Brian Schottenheimer had to deal with. But I think, if you're evaluating just him as a year one head coach, and he'd be the first one to say it, I think he gave a C to himself when Brad asked him about that.
You know what? I'll tell you what, and I'll say this about Schotty, and he is a very likable guy. And he's gonna, the media. I mean, Todd Archer asked, I thought, a really good question, like why are certain guys staying on the field and other guys coming off the field? Yeah. And Schotty's going to stand up there and he's going to give you an answer, and he's going to be really personable, and he's not robotic like Jason Garrett or like a jerk like Mike McCarthy. He's going to give you like this answer, and he's going to be a likable guy, and that's. Sometimes, the likable guy is like, I know myself when we were 5-11 the 3 straight years, and I admit that now here as when I'm doing media
all
work.
The time. You tell Dave Campo anytime you see him, you apologize to him.
I apologize to Cowboys fans for not doing a good enough job. And I mean that with all sincerity. And I wonder sometimes with these coaches that tell, well, it starts with me. Well, of course it does start with you. And you need to evaluate why you weren't very good in the red zone. Why were you guys so bad on defense? Were you trying to tell, why? And Brad Cham even brought it up. Why didn't you, as a head coach, walk into Matt Eberflus's office and say, hey, listen, we've got to play more of this. We've got to blitz more. We can't play soft zone coverage and give up big plays. Where's the, he says the accountability starts with him, but I wish there would have been a little bit more of that, that we would have seen him like saying, "Oh yeah, it's my fault, this, that, and the other."
Yeah.
But did he really ever do anything about it? Sure. That's the thing that always worries me when you try and be nice guy and be very cordial to the media and all that, and then really what did you do when you get the tough question? Then it starts with me.
Mm-hmm.
I have to do better. I have to. Okay, well, go do better. This defense never got better the whole entire year, and there are things you probably could have done. You probably could have gone there and told Matt Eberflus that, hey, we need to do this differently. And if Matt Eberflus didn't do those things, the next week, fire his ass.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Make a change. To me, I appreciate the nice guy Schottenheimer thing. I don't know if that necessarily fixes what you need going forward, though.
No.
You could be the, hey, I'm wrong here, but man, it just seemed like the whole year he could have probably done something about the defense, and they didn't.
Well, and did the defense, and I get it, like statistically you're one of the best offenses in the league. I understand. You had a 1,000-yard receiver in Pickens. You had a 1,000-yard receiver in CD. You had a 1,000-yard rusher. You had a 4,000-yard passer, most passing yards in the history of the Cowboys in a single season for Dak Prescott. But where do you win games, Brian? Red zone success.
They were not. Yeah, that was.
You've
not.
got to score touchdowns. We're complaining about Brandon Aubrey because the guy attempted 16 50-plus yard field goals.
Yeah.
16.
Yeah.
So how bad the defense was, we've got to evaluate this thing as a whole. And it's not like, I can't believe people are complaining about the offense. Did you see how bad? No, it's a team game. We've talked about the special teams today. Wasn't good enough. Well, a big reason why you also did not win some of these games is you did not have red zone success. And at times, you were a poor team on third down to stay on the football field.
Yeah.
And when you're the head coach and the play caller, some of that stuff also has to be pointed to.
Yeah.
And I do think maybe some of the criticism that would have been received on offense is because of just how historically bad this defense is.
Yeah. Oh, no, he caught a break. He caught a break on that. And the 817 asks, can he throw Flus under the bus when he's a Jones hire? Yeah, absolutely he can. Absolutely can. I don't know. You think Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones sat up there and watched what was going on defense and felt good about that? That's probably why Flus is going to be out of a job. But to me, I think you could have done some things. I think you could have done some things differently on defense. But you're absolutely right. There's things offensively they could have done a lot better. And that fell through the cracks. And some of the things that we didn't notice about a first-year head coach was because of how historically bad the defense was.
Yeah, I mean, Schotty, I know he mentioned he feels good about the clock management. I think there were stuff with the timeouts, that we would point to when we did some of our halftime shows. And again, I mentioned in the open, I'm feeling so much better about the direction this offense is going now compared to a year ago. I think there were so many positives. But ultimately, when you're 7-9-1 and the season was not a success, now we've got to look and critique and evaluate everything. And I think that Brian Schottenheimer knows that there's things that he needs to evaluate as a play caller and to make this offense better. And the defense really needs a total overhaul. And it's unfortunate that there are players that they were counting on now that you just have a big question mark. The health of Deron Bland moving forward. Yeah. Diggs was supposed to be a piece of this thing. He's gone. Osa. I mean, I've mentioned this in other postgame shows. I did not really notice Osa a lot this year.
Played the whole game today. Not a factor.
And that stinks. Like, I've been a big Osa fan. I think Osa he cares. He's an effort, attitude. Like, he's a player that you want on your team. He's a captain for a reason. But outside of a couple of game stretch when you first get Quinnen Williams, I didn't see him maximized. Maybe that's on the defense. Very fair to counter that. Linebackers. I mean, what are you going to do there? Is Shamar James your guy moving forward? Maris, this coaching staff didn't seem to like too much. I mean, there's a lot of questions. And then when it comes to going back to the front office and criticizing them, it's because you have a massive sample size of the way they do it, and they want to do it their way, that it doesn't work. So when we sit here on the postgame show, for certain fans or others at the Star in the building, and they think like, oh, this is just you want to go on a viral rant, there's nothing to do with that.
No.
It's because I, speaking for myself, care. And I want nothing but success in a Super Bowl for the team that I fell in love with, my first love, that I wanted to do this job to get as close to as possible. Right. And it stinks to have to do these shows every year, and we're talking about what they didn't do right. And there were things that they did right, but it's just not enough. Yeah. And we need to, I feel a responsibility for the fans that listen to try and put as much pressure until we can celebrate them for finally hoisting another Lombardi trophy. And if I'm not doing that, then I'm lying to myself. And if I'm doing that, well, then I might as well not do the job.
Yeah.
So, and there might be other people that they hate the way that we speak about them. Well, sorry, but I guess you're cool with just being an average football team.
Yeah.
And that's something you probably need to go ahead and reevaluate.